Keith.
Mm-hmm.
You're old and feeble.
I know.
You thought there was going to be a part B to that.
Oh, I was hoping for some sort of redemption. Wait, what show am I on? What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Keith and Mike Watch Deep Space Nine. I had to think about it for a minute. I was going to do a joke, and I'm like, no, that's sort of like cruel. And then I actually forgot. We are doing Deep Space Nine, Season 7, Episode 7, Once More Unto the Breach. How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing good. I've already lost a bet. We're this quick into the episode. We were discussing in the watch-along stream last night, which you can join. Patreon.com/KNM.
Ooh, already begging for money. Love it.
And so Keith, the real quick synopsis of how this works, we have shared drives, and Keith, we're organized. We're both too organized. So we've got, your Deep Space Nine, your Season 7, and then every episode, and then all the things inside.
There's a fair amount of TISM running our Dropbox.
Yes. And I noticed that as I was putting the screens in for this episode, that in Keith's rundown, in Keith's naming of the folder, and everything, it was once more into the breach. So I made a prediction that you were going to mess up the title here. And so what I did to try to help Keith, rather than just let you, is I changed the folder title.
Did you?
To Unto, but I did not change your script. So I gave you an equal chance of failure and success. But I'm here to say I was wrong. You were right.
If you could see my screen, I have my Word doc open.
There's a lot of Untos and Intos.
The title is Into, but within the episode rundown, Unto.
Okay.
So, and I did clock at some point throughout this whole process that it was Unto and not Into, because it's Shakespeare, right? The whole thing.
You're going to have to bear with Keith and I, because the next few weeks are going to be a little nutty, because we're going to be running 2 shows in general. Keith is working on a whole entire separate show, because he's, going to stand in front of people. Yes, please plug.
10 times I should have known I was autistic. A new show coming up November 4th in New York City as part of the United Solo Festival. AutisticShow.com for tickets.
Tickets available.
Tickets available.
Get your tickets now.
Or wait, because we're not selling any.
There will be availability, is what Keith is saying, but you don't know how long that will last. It's like tariffs; they could come at any moment. They could not.
I could sell tickets at any moment. You never know what I'm gonna do. You could be sell some tickets. Maybe I'll just burn them all. Who knows?
No one is the answer.
I don't.
Luckily, I can't book anything, so I will be available, Keith. I will be there.
There's nothing more than failure opening doors for failure.
Really just jumping out of the burning building into a pit of fire. So we got Deep Space Nine. We are in the last season, so we are plugging along. I'm going to DC for work in 2 weeks, but we also have 2 episodes of Strange New Worlds dropping this very coming week. So
this week,
the 17th, so next Thursday.
Oh God.
We're gonna do the watch along. I'm gonna do a mammoth stream next Friday for anyone who wants to join K&M Patreon of both premiere episodes. Could be a 2-parter for all we know. They're dropping 2 in the beginning. And then Keith and I will record as soon as I somehow then write a synopsis for all those, because I'm going to there's a lot happening. Stay with us. You can get your information.
Here's the deal that I made. I'm like, all right, we can do 2 shows at once, but you have to write the synopsis for Strange New Worlds, because that is by far the hardest part of the process for me. Will
I utilize either y'all? And by y'all, I mean the collective knowledge of AI that is sourcing everyone's information? It's highly possible. We'll see how terrible that is. I'll see if I can get it modeled off how you do it, because I like the way you break down via every scene and chapter. Anyway, folks, stay tuned. Patreon.com/KNM. That's where we'll kind of keep you updated as to where things are happening. But we're here. We have an episode to talk about. But before we do that, Keith, I want to do a brand new segment I didn't even prep you for.
Oh, God, new segment?
It's called... I guess I should do a jingle. Hold on.
Obviously. Can't not have a jingle.
Let's do a riff on a joke we both forgot.
Oh, okay.
So I got an email from friend of the show, JD, from JD Makes. Happy birthday, JD.
Happy birthday, JD. I stopped into his birthday stream, which, Mike, you are no longer allowed to watch, because
I know. I was informed.
There was a Mike-approved spoiler. Oh, I approved the spoiler knowing that you weren't allowed to watch, so.
Whew. Dodged a bullet. But what we didn't dodge was apparently, Keith, and this is great, because usually I kind of remember some things from the show, because I have to do the edit, so I sort of watch it twice.
I surely do not.
Keith does not. But I had forgotten this. JD sent me an email. And apparently at some point we joked about, in the future, there will be a show about our show. Like in another 20 years, there will be a like watch-along show of us watching Deep Space Nine.
Of the watch it, yeah.
So, since, for those of you just listening, I almost sneezed.
Mm-hmm.
So
JD...
since I opened the Pandora's box of ungodly use of AI for just unholy things, JD thought he'd jump into the pool and prepare us the following. I don't know how much of this is just completely AI generated or how much input JD put into it. Whatever, it is an unholy mess. And I'm going to put it on the internet
oh my God,
now.
I'm so nervous.
Now, we were supposed to do this about 2 or 3 weeks ago, but I keep forgetting.
On brand.
So, who knows when this joke happened? I really don't remember. But here we go. This is from JD, and it's only called DS9 Watch Along, Watch Along.
This is a show about watching a show where they watch a show called Deep Space Nine. We are Zorp and more, watching Keith and Mike watch Ben and Worf on Deep Space Nine. Every week we watch them watch the show they watched before. Then we talk about them watching what they watched, and now we talk about that. This is a show about watching a show that they watch a show called Deep Space Nine.
Our aliens look so sad.
The farties.
The farties.
I haven't gotten this far, actually.
Oh my God.
Oh, it's unholy.
Oh. Look at our hands. Morph and Zorp. Oh, Morph and Zorp are the people hosting the show.
Yes, correct.
Talking about us. Oh my God.
It's...
Unbelievable.
Yeah, that's awesome. But there's something that inside of me that's sad, and I'm trying to remember why I'm sad, and I think I figured it out.
Why are you sad, buddy?
Because watching that, I realize I'm more interested in that show.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. But here's the thing. Because it was like a great song and a jingle and all that kind of stuff. Don't miss the show. Don't pre-miss the show, because the show is talking about us. So how much can you really, like, enjoy that?
Yeah, I'd be filled with anxiety and social discomfort.
Right, exactly. Like, there's going to be a segment called, like, what hat is Mike wearing? How gray is his hair today?
I realized the other day, because my friend Erica came by, one of my best friends. You know those best friends you have and you just don't see them enough. Well, she came over, and we were looking through some DVDs, because I was like, I got to find the MAME tour we were on together from many, many years ago.
Oh, I know it exists, because you showed me a piece of it like 20 years ago.
But it was from the first leg when she wasn't on, so it doesn't matter. But that brings me to my thing about what we were just talking, is that, you know how, like, you see those, or you find the old YouTube video clip or whatever, and you get excited for like 12 seconds because you're like, oh my God, the nostalgia, I can't wait till this is going to be hysterical. And then the second you see your own face on video in performance, you're like, hard pass.
Yep.
I'm out.
100%. 100%.
No interest.
Yeah, it's death.
So we couldn't watch that show, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, that'd be difficult. Not as difficult, I think, as watching, like, our Titanic tour.
That's also difficult, yes.
It is on YouTube, but let me tell you, that is unfreaking listed.
Well, even that DVD is like 480p. I mean...
Oh, God, it was terrible.
Even just because it was digital, it really wasn't.
No.
I was looking back at some of these, because I've been doing some thrift shops lately, and even Laserdisc, which was the like height of technology at the time.
Yeah.
It was very low definition. When I remember back to like my TV growing up, my dad had one of those huge rear projection TVs that was like 7 tons. You couldn't steal it if you wanted to. Even that was 480.
Oh yeah, no, I mean it's low definition.
Yeah,
that was. We were just used to it.
That's because we're old, Keith, and you know who else is old?
I've put a lot of money that our patrons are mostly of our generation. What do you say we see what they thought about last week's episode, Treachery, Faith, and the Great River?
I'd love to if my button would work, but it's not.
Come on, press the button. The button.
The button is not working, so we're gonna have to go ahead and just.
I'm just gonna start, and then the button's gonna interrupt me and confuse me, and I'm gonna lose my place. There it is.
Oh, I didn't
All
work.
right. So if you would like me to read your comment, you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/K&M. And just a reminder, folks, if your Patreon name is different from your YouTube screen name, and I don't realize that one is the other, just let me know. Just, so like I'm so-and-so, and then I will write it down on my list, and I'll remember to read your comment. So Joshua Cronin says, missed you guys, but glad you had a good week off. I enjoyed this episode for the different feel it has. And yes, Combs shines as he always does. There it is. His range of acting. They truly felt like two different people. I enjoy the Nog getting stuff into the stuff arc, cracked me up. I never mind exploring deeper in that character, and O'Brien going along with it all. 83 stem bolts from me. Brian from Video Game Drive-By says, welcome back, guys. Another absolute banger from Jeffrey Combs. Renee is on it as well. I read that as Renee is on the show as well, which is like a compliment my mother would give. You were also there. Just a deep, complex story about these two ethical outcasts. No notes on them. Perfect. I am always a sucker for a beautiful, compassionate moment at the end of life. Their side of this gets 90 stem bolts by itself. As for Nog's wonderfully delightful side story, could it have been a B plot to any episode? Sure. But Nog getting an excellent subplot as Odo goes through the plot exploring his feelings about things in a tradition started way back in Heart of Stone. That's true. In that one, Nog's B plot absolutely eclipsed Odo's, and when he admits he's in love with Kira to the Changeling A plot. Now that we get to see the ideal officer he's now become, it feels right, and it's happening in the backdrop of a perfect Odo story. If that were its own episode, it'd be a perfectly serviceable 80 out of 100. But for me, the mirroring ideas of faith, treachery, and the Great River fits each side story in a way so clever it adds a cherry to the top, making it a perfect 100 stem bolter.
Wow.
Faith is obvious. Weyoun and Nog are both utterly faithful in different ways. Treachery, in that Nog seems to be betraying O'Brien for a scheme, and of course Weyoun's betrayal of Dominion. The Great River, of course, is the material continuum, but also the runabout itself is named for a great river, the Rio Grande. Rio Grande also. This is Jeffrey Combs' favorite episode.
I get that.
Awesome. Mr. Jason Moe says, I'm very interested to hear all about Keith's Enterprise set tour and how much distance was required by the court order to stay away from Mr. Shatner. Oh yeah, we need to have a production. We need to figure out when we're going to do that. We should probably get that in before we start filming 6 episodes a week.
I go away the end of this month. Actually, I should have good, decent internet at the hotel.
We got to get some toys in too, buddy.
Oh god damn it! You know what?
Yeah.
There are worse problems to have. Let me reconfigure my brain.
Okay.
We're just busy. That's all.
Yeah. Just crank some space in there. We just need to do we take an afternoon. We'll do this. We'll do an episode of toys. We'll be good for a while.
Yep.
Anyway, Jason continues, I'm probably an atypical Deep Space Nine fan because I usually prefer the more comical and carefree episodes to the heavy-hitting political episodes like this one. But I definitely recognize it, that it's a great episode nonetheless, and I love the lore drop of the evolutionary history of the Vorta as relayed by Weyoun here. 87 stem bolts! Mr. Carl Fisher says, I thought this episode was one of the better character-driven stories of Season 7, mostly because the characters it focuses on, Weyoun 6, Nog, and Odo, are each at very different stages of the show. Nog is trying to constantly prove himself and the person he's becoming wearing that uniform. He's got all these amazing Starfleet professionals he works with who he thinks, and maybe he's right, constantly evaluating him. And he's probably also internally judging himself a lot. Yeah, I think that's true. Weyoun, perhaps the most dramatic changes, is defecting. And then Odo, who, like Sisko, now appears to have come to accept that some see him as a god, and that's okay because he's become more confident in how he views himself. Yeah. That's smart. I like that. 85 stub bolts from me. I think one of my favorite lines is from O'Brien, though. Julian, I need help, not sarcasm. I think that's something both of us have said to each other at one point. Hibernation Pod says, I'm all for Captain Keith doing photo shots with his collectibles. Sisko's desk, Quark's bar, a Borg alcove. Oh, that's true. I should figure out a way to do that foreshortening. That's kind of fun. I like this episode. Nog gets to shine and it's funny. I love all the versions of Weyoun, but I do think this one is one of my favorites because of how short-lived, despite how short-lived it was. You guys touched on so much, and I thought the moralistic style of Weyoun 6 demonstrated that he was not at all a traitor, but still completely loyal to his founder gods. He either wanted to save them directly or through the essence of them through Odo. It tingles my imagination thinking about history of where we come from and the story of how the Vorta came to be and how it still inspires my personal studies. 90 self-stealing stem bolts. Yeah, these are all really smart comments, people.
Always. I mean, any shock there?
We have a really smart audience. JD says, this doesn't spoil anything. In Voyager, they absolutely networked the separate holodecks together. And the way it's talked about sounds like it would be easy for them to do that on any ship or Deep Space Nine, especially when they have seen Vic popping back and forth between them. Yeah, I think that does answer some of the question. We never said that they weren't in separate holosuites, which would make that possible. That's crazy. Which also, depending on your bandwidth, would be a great way to like hang out with your friends from different places.
Yeah.
Like you can go have lunch with your buddy who's in London.
Well, that's sort of like what VR is supposed to be right now. Like you can play board games together and inhabit the same physical space. And even at this kind of juncture we're at, there is something about sharing the physical space with someone that is better than just like, the Black Mirror effect.
I mean, you say that when your and my entire relationship is through a computer screen.
Yeah, but like,
we see each other in person like twice a year.
That's true,
max.
But I will tell you that even the sort of facilitation you create via the graphics, or it does feel like we're inhabiting a space. Like I come in my basement, I got my little kit here. It does feel that way to me.
Well, it's because
sort of like a little lunch we have.
Well, it's because of our basement arms race, where like once one of us, which is true of everything we have in our life, once one of us has one, the other one has to have a slightly better one. But we end up basically having the same thing.
It's still so funny because we talk about this a lot, but it is an observation that does bear itself out. You say that, but just like we talk about growing up, right? You and your brothers, you guys would play competitive games. You were trying to beat each other with Madden and stuff. That's not how we did things here. I don't have that itch. I don't ever feel like I need to one up. I do think, Keith's into XYZ, so I start to research that, and then I'm like, now I'm into XYZ, so I have to get one. This, and we both are very much into min-max, right? I want the best thing for what I can afford, or I want the secret deal. It's interesting.
You're just into the same thing, you just have a higher budget.
Generally. Well, hold on. I'm just less adverse to blowing my budget, whereas you have like some sort of fiscal responsibility. I just lack that. I don't have a much higher budget.
My fiscal responsibility is not due to like discipline or a vision.
It's a hard limit.
I have no choice. I have zero choice but to be incredibly responsible. Anyway, as I look at our backgrounds, which are basically identical now.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Anyway, JD continues. So we need a whole new podcast dedicated to would you have relations a chick that is simultaneously 22 and 360? But being real, I have had guys that are in their 20s flirt with me in recent times. And it is strange because I can be like, yes, you are attractive. I remember a time where I would have taken you home in a blink, but I don't want that anymore. And you're not as attractive as the 34-year-old over there giving me flirty eyes. The answer to if you had the energy and stamina is, would you take a 22-year-old home for the night? Sure. But is it my first choice? Typically, no. That is an excellent question. My only problem is yes, at this point, the 34-year-old would be like, I feel I'm like a creepy old man on a 34-year-old, let alone a 22-year-old.
I don't even wade into these waters.
Mike is afraid of the topic.
It's not. That's not worth it.
He's a happily married man.
That's true.
But I see you, JD. I'm with you. Now, of course, for a person of any age or gender would have to come into my basement for me to even notice it. So nobody's making flirty eyes at me at all because they can't see me in my basement.
I will tell you this. My experience having been on the cruising circuit for a while, and I mean cruising as in the literal on the seas cruising.
Oh, sure.
We're in the nice pocket of normal behavior, and I mean that by just frequency and fervor in our late 30s, mid 40s area. When you're in your 20s, as JD alludes to, that's a lot of energy to be spent in the sexual realm. Just the thinking about it, the performing in it, it's just all, right? I've found...
You're just tired?
No. I've found that, once you get into, the late 50s to mid 60s range, it ramps up again. A lot of these more mature folks on the cruises... A lot of indecent proposals, Keith.
It's like Caligula over there.
A lot of indecent We, in fact, the guys and I have some really jokes that I can't even say on this podcast about it because it's crazy sometimes. Great show. You're at the buffet getting a slice of pizza, and you've got normal people who are just like, "Hey, it was a great show," or "We don't like. You should sing more Queen," or whatever. They think they can tell you the set list. And then you got some people who are just bang my wife. She said, old guys. You know what I mean? They've got weird arrangements, and they just think that the schmooshy boys want to engage. It's weird. This has happened more than a few times. I mean, it hasn't actually happened. The proposal has happened.
I just like to point out, you were like, I'm not engaging on this at all. And then that's the story you tell to avoid engaging.
Oh, that's not it. It's crazy out there. So I'm just saying, enjoy the lull now. Because if you're still on the apps, Keith, when you're in your 50s, you're going to have to really up your game.
I mean, I'm on an app, but I'm too afraid to swipe the yes one.
Oof. You're going to be doing a lot more than swiping when you turn 50, if you know what I'm saying. You're going to be doing some wiping. End the show!
Where do we go? Where do we go?
End it. Hit the button. I don't even know what we're talking about, but thanks, JD. I'm glad with all the flirty eyes. I couldn't tell you last time I saw flirty eyes.
I have not seen flirty eyes in a good long time.
Yeah.
In a good long time. I would have to leave the basement, but I could be up for some flirty eyes or two.
I have this don't be a creep. I think that's just a 45-year-old
100%.
white guy. So if I find myself talking to the very friendly barista at a Starbucks drive-thru for too long, I was like, abort, thank you, window, go.
No, well, and that is a really true thing because both, I'm sort of me and I'm nervous and neurotic. I'm also autistic, and so it's if a lady would like to, she can't just make flirty eyes. She has to knock me over the head and drag me somewhere before I can believe that she's actually interested. So
I know, like in your 20s, it was a consideration. In your 40s, they have to sign a whole TOS. It's like, please scroll through and just sign at the bottom.
I need something in writing that says like, no, for real, you're not just an old perv. Like, I'm actually interested. So just keep that in mind, folks. Now, normally I would apologize to the commenter, because we took a 75-minute digression in the middle of it. But JD, I know you're in for it. Mm-hmm. So JD continues. Having proud to be an American put into context with Edelweiss is one of the most educational but hilarious moments Mike has ever had. I think it's the same damn thing. I don't see any distinction whatsoever between those two songs. Did you guys change the music for the Patreon call list? We did a while back. We are now using the extended version of the intro that I wrote. So I was bored one day and I was like, all right, well, what if I extended this out and played it out a little further? So what you were hearing there is the rest of the composition.
So to quote Keith, this is not a pejorative in any way, but one of the fringe benefits of being friends with Keith and his, as he calls it, tism, is that, he'll blush, but I do think my buddy Keith is like a low-key genius in many ways. And so even if he does like a one-off 15-second jingle for like a nothing we're doing one time, that's what you hear. But what I get to hear is he does an extended cut. He does a second version. He does another synth. Oh, I needed a better guitar solo. Oh, I needed this. So I will hear like 12 revisions, and it for like the littlest thing. And it's awesome. I just get to it.
But you hear it.
Yeah.
You hear the differences.
Oh, I know. And I appreciate it. Yeah. I think it's great.
At some point we should play your guitar solo.
Yeah, you're right. You should also listen to any jingle I've ever done, because when I say I'm going to spend 25 seconds on it, I spend 25 seconds, and I never revisited it.
That is not true. You know what? While I'm reading the rest of this comment, pull up Ranger Ron, and let's just play your guitar solo, because you did such a good job on that.
It was, but it's really not you call it a solo, but it's a comp. I mean, it's like 50 solos that I just comped together to make it sound like one, but I guess that's the same difference.
I'm sorry, have you ever seen music?
Yeah.
Anyway, he continues, Vorta clones are not a clone of a clone. They are duplicates of a single original being repeated as necessary. And in the books, they do almost exactly what you came up with. Once at each day, a Vorta would record their brain for the day. Throughout the series, we see the Vorta played by 18 different actors, but the implication are that there are hundreds. That makes sense.
It's not a clone of a clone. That is a difference. You're right, because we pulled up the multiplicity quotient, and that is incorrect.
Right. But that doesn't mean that obviously there are still variations in how they come out.
Mm-hmm. More of a Xerox then?
No, because a Xerox would be
Xerox is a copy of a one original, right?
Of a one original over and over and over again. Yeah, and this is where you just get into like the...
sometimes the toner's a little messed up.
The complexity of life. There are just too many variables that even if you're copying the same thing, just,
clever girl.
String theory and vibrations and blah, blah, blah. There is a fantastic subtle moment when Weyoun starts to tell the story of his ancestors that proves how good Combs is. For a flash of a moment, he embodies the way a small child acts when they get to tell someone their favorite story. If you've ever been around a 5-year-old when they realize they get to tell you all about dinosaurs or trains, he does that and it's fantastic. Or, an autistic talking about a special interest, which is what this show is! When Quark and... 100%.
Yeah, I just realized.
That's all this is.
Yeah, I just realized.
Are you kidding me?
I'm just part of Keith's fever dream.
Of course, I'm just like chatting about. I'm info dumping about my special interest. That's what this entire show is.
You know what? I'm gonna very rarely do this, but I'm gonna pat myself on the back. You know what everybody needs, Keith? When you decide in your life that everybody needs one friend in their life that will say yes to will you indulge in my fever dream for, let's say, 16 to 18,000 hours of your life.
Oh, yeah, over years.
Yeah.
Years.
You need at least one of those guys.
That's true. Well, look, this is scratching an itch for you too, buddy.
Plenty of itches, yeah.
Nonetheless. When Quark and Odo were trapped on the planet, it was during the arc when Odo was made solid by the changelings. And that was one of my questions, because I'd forgotten that. Like, why was he affected by the cold? That's because he was human at that point. I would probably rate the two stories in this episode separately, at least 90 each. But because of the weird clashing, I have to drop it to 85 self-sealing stem bolts. Keith, if you enjoy Reanimator, you should check out the Repenetrator, which I'm assuming is probably the adult parody of Reanimator, and yeah, I'm gonna check it out. Of course I am. All right, so also welcome Joel Moses as a new commenter.
Yes, welcome Joel.
Who probably would not like his name associated with all this nonsense we have just talked about.
I don't know that he wanted it to follow Repenetrator, but
look,
you never know.
You engage with this show, you are playing with fire. That's how this works. All right, what do you say we talk about once more Unto the Breach, which aired on November 11th, 1998, almost your birthday, bud.
2 days.
Oh, right there before 18-year-old Mike, adult Mike, is about to be unleashed on the world. Sorry. The top song... Adult Mike was working on his way to becoming the first-time penetrator. Get it?
Yeah.
Not the re-penetrator?
Mm-hmm. No, I had a little ways to wait.
I apologize. Puerto Rico! Puerto Rico!
I'm trying to... How old was I? Wasn't long. So I had...
Well, we can all assume that.
I had this girlfriend in high school, but that was not what we were engaged in. But I did have a pen pal, a Canadian pen pal, legit, that I had met
girlfriend who lived in Canada.
That I had met on Prodigy.com, which predated AIM at the time.
Oh, I had a Prodigy account for sure.
And we were friends, or pen pals, through all the way until we finally met. And I remember, I guess we're just going to tell the story now. So, yeah, I guess it was 19, so the following year, 19 or... Yeah, it was 19. No. Keith, I need you to do me a favor.
Mm-hmm.
I need you to quickly Google when the song With Arms Wide Open by Creed came out.
With arms wide open! Oh, I remember the story.
Because whenever that song came out, that was the year.
2015. Oh, no.
No. I had to wait.
It was 1999.
Okay, so that's whenever that song came, because that's when she came to visit for the first time. We actually visited, and
in the not the Elantra, the
the Chevy Lumina.
Chevy Lumina.
That smelled like tomatoes.
Chevy Lumina that smelled like tomatoes, listening to Creed.
That doesn't get any more 90s for me.
That's amazing.
What? Why are we talking about this? I'm getting embarrassed.
I feel like I should personally apologize to everyone who's ever listened to this show, but I feel that frequently.
But this car smelled like tomatoes because when I first got my license, my mom made me go grocery shopping. I had to do certain chores. And it was like summertime, and I was taking some of the groceries in, and I forgot to take the tomatoes out, and they like liquefied in the trunk. And I did everything in my power over the next few years, because we would use that car to go to gigs and to carry our instruments and stuff. And my penance for having let the tomatoes rot in the car was that my parents were like, "You got to drive that car. Like that's the one. You're not getting into that car." Until I almost went to college and I bought a car and then quickly demolished it. But that's a whole different story, Keith. Let's talk about Star Trek.
With arms wide open, it smells like tomatoes.
Oh, man. Wherever you are, Janine, I hope that life is treating you well.
I'm with Janine, who's from Ottawa and really exists.
She's from BC. She was from BC.
Oh, that's even a better. It rhymes.
Yeah. And now you're getting tariffs. Well, I don't know what's happening.
I just didn't say 72 jokes. That silence was me saying, Keith, don't say it.
We're quickly losing control. Move forward.
Well, we're gonna do some more singing. Just think, it could have been in the back of the Lumina, listening to Doo-Wop, That Thing, Lauryn Hill.
That thing. You know what that thing is, Lauren? That's my friend Heather, who continually tries me to go see Lauryn Hill, and she never shows up on time. It's continually happening. She plays hours and hours late, and so finally we said, okay, we'll go, and then I said no, and then she texted that day up, and she's like, she canceled the concert. We're never gonna see you.
Wow, we are learning so much about Mike right now.
I'm sorry, I don't know what I'm doing. Let's continue.
Oh, okay. Well, if that wasn't awkward enough, the top movie was The Waterboy.
Okay, yeah, there's a couple. Bobby Boucher.
Bobby Boucher, yeah.
I didn't love they started to go downhill. Like, after that came Little Nicky, and I thought that was terrible. The Waterboy was, like, okay, but probably doesn't hold up.
I don't think I ever saw the whole thing. I might have seen, like,
Isn't
20
Kathy
minutes
Bates
of it.
his mom in that movie?
Yes, I think so, yeah. Kathy Bates, man, she has had such a wild and interesting career. Good for her. All right, so what was Voyager doing? They were doing the episode Once Upon a Time. Get your flotters out, folks. That was, I think that's all I'm going to say about that episode.
Okay, yeah, because I'll probably watch it someday.
You are definitely going to watch it. At some point, folks, Mike is going to know what a flotter is. Yeah.
I know what flouter is.
Mm-hmm.
Flautist?
Flautist, yes. And if you were dating a flautist, you might flout your flautist.
Mm-hmm. And if they're playing too quietly, you might ask the flautist to play flouter. I'll see myself out.
Just choking back more jokes I shouldn't say. I have bailed on more jokes today than I think I have ever in an episode. Mm-hmm. This episode was directed by Alan Croker, and it was written by, not surprisingly, Klingon specialist Ronald D. Moore. Now, I'm sure you want Ronald D. less of this, but first, we have something important to do. Now, Keith, waste your time.
But with what?
With trivial trivia.
Oh!
Okay. So, as hinted at in the conversation between O'Brien and Bashir in the teaser, this episode, of course, is based on the legend of Davy Crockett and the Battle of the Alamo.
Davy Crockett. He's king of the wild frontier. You ever watch that Disney show?
No.
Oh, they had a great one. The Wide World of Disney on Sunday nights. You could watch it. There was like a Davy Crockett thing.
Yeah, you know what? And I have not done, I'd mentioned this in the rundown, so I'm trying to repeat myself, but I have not done like a contemporary research into that whole thing, Davy Crockett and the Alamo or whatever, but I'm assuming our understanding of that is probably not accurate. Yeah. And I bet that was, like all of our heroes from that time, probably we've re-examined that whole situation. I don't know. I have to do some research on it.
You might be interested to know, Keith, that Bonanza and Gunsmoke, not an accurate reflection of the Wild West period.
You think?
Now, Red Dead 2. Probably a little closer.
Yeah. Yeah, Red Dead 2. It's great.
You want to know how a horse poops anatomically? Play that game.
Yeah. And you gotta feed that horse.
Pat him.
Otherwise, they're gonna shame you when you bring it in.
And pat him.
We gotta brush and pat him, which I do. When I 100%ed that just last month, a couple weeks ago.
Keith, are you an Arthur, or are you a John?
I'm definitely an Arthur Morgan. When I go out there on the horse, I'm always fighting against obesity. There's nothing funnier than seeing Fat Arthur out there. Yeah.
I had a nickel for every time I relate to him because I remember when I got COVID, I remember the first time I got COVID because I remember the woman coughing into my mouth from the front row of a show I was doing. Like she coughed into my mouth. I felt it, and I was like, I'm gonna get COVID, and I did.
She reverse Jonathan Groff you?
Yes, as a matter of fact. And that's exactly what I think of now. I'm starting a replay of Red Dead, and that moment where you're beating that guy up and he coughs his tuberculosis blood on you.
Well, of course, that's the whole game's about that moment.
And I'm like, yeah, I've had that moment.
Yeah, we all have. Yeah, it's quite a time. All right. Anyway,
what are we doing but coughing tuberculosis into the internet right now? You know,
I feel like if an episode could be a podcast version of TB, this would be it.
Mm-hmm. I didn't know we were gonna come to that analogy today, but we have.
We've got a lot of places I wasn't expecting today. Been a weird week. I have to take Charlie to the vet. It's a whole thing. All right. Anyway, so writer Ronald D. Moore based the rivalry between Martok and Kor on class issues, mainly due to how each actor portrayed his respective character in the past. Kor as an aristocrat and Martok as a common soldier who had worked his way up through the ranks, which I think is a really, really interesting part of this episode and this sort of class difference here. And I think deepens Martok a great deal.
Yes.
He always was, but like it's fascinating to see sort of what makes Martok tick, and I think that was a big part.
And I like a darker color on him because we haven't played a lot with a lot of dark colors on him.
Yeah, but it also like it explains both his like viciousness and aggression, but also his empathy because he's sort of been through it. Anyway, we'll get into that later. So Kor's speech to the younger Klingons about the sweet taste of life is reminiscent of what he said to the Organians in his first appearance in Errand of Mercy in 1967. Says, I hope you continue to savor the sweetness of life. Kor makes reference to having served aboard an old D5 cruiser when the cloaking device was still a new piece of technology. The later D7 cruiser was in common service during the time of the original Star Trek series, meaning Kor's tale takes place prior to Kirk's command of the original episode. Perhaps even during the Strange New Worlds timeline. All right, our guest stars this week include, of course, John Colicos back as Kor, J.G. Hertzler as Martok, Neil Vipond as Darok, Nancy Youngblood as Kolana, and Blake Lindsay as Sign-On. You know who signs on to the internet to support our show, who might be signing off after this episode, Mike?
Okay, I'm so glad you brought that up because I'd love to tell you about it. I'm going to read their names because I appreciate them so much, and this time I'm not going to make any mistakes.
Zero mistakes, guaranteed.
Bryant, Kimball Biersing, Quark Spar, Jamie Lubin, thanks for joining us last night. Jason Moe, All-Timer, Deborah, Peter Bank, Joshua Cronin in DC, Anton Peace, Mike, Andrew Hayes, Allen, and the Mysterious Household Wharfs, Big Old Boot Shiv, Charles Babbage, John Kelly, Keith Blank, Casey Alexander, Harry Pothead, Smoke Me If You Got Him, Carl Fisher, Alan Gurton, Deborah, Scott, Tren, Odo's Bucket, Lost Emu, Scotty B, Merritt Neath, Byron Woosley, Aroha, AI Sausage, Yum Yum, Benny B, Brian, where's he from? Oh, the Video Game Drive-By, Nikolay Ivanovich Lobachevsky, YouTube Viewer, Hibernation Pod, Miri Holcomb, Rogue Knight, JD Makes, Colin Dagan, Chris Mitchell at CRM, Frank Ringe, Pat, Joshua Cronin, and Kevin Miles. The Chancellor, Chancellor Jen. You come for Chancellor Jen, I'll mess you up. Fedora the Explorer, Engineer Maynard, Jerome A. Gibson, April H. Welcome, James Hubbard, Chanel, Laura Morrison, Olean for Soup, Lutz, Kremer, White, Eldridge, Kevin Miles, Ryan Caputo. We've got the Patreon Hall of Fame, Casey Clark, Brian Kaufman, Jason Moe, Joshua Cronin, The Mysterious and Andrew Hayes, Dwarfs, Big Old Boot Shifty's back, Colin Dagan, Quark Spar, Peter Bank, CRN Productions, Jennifer Massanova from the old days, Cloud Lover 69, we still don't know who he is, Jorge Navoa, Charles Babbage, Kevin Miles, Frank Ridge, Ryan Kimball Biersick, JD Makes, CRM Productions, Ryan Chesley, Yanba. We are so popular, there's a page 2 with 3 names on it. Anton Thies, Merritt Neath, and Harry Pothead. Please join the team, patreon.com/KNN.
Wow. Full talent, sir. He's tired. That's it. Full talent.
No.
Wow. Congratulations. All right.
You know, Keith, there is a new tier.
What's that?
Bang my wife. Puerto Rico.
No, that's, and that whole side, for those of you listening to the podcast, it didn't break. You're not getting a phone call. That was me making Mike sit in the mess that he made. Yep.
I mean, like, how do you respond to somebody? He's an old man and you're getting pizza at a buffet.
Mm-hmm.
What do you say? No. But you're
well,
you're not really supposed to be rude to the guest, though. So you generally say something like, "Oh my God, thank you so much. I really enjoy. I'm so glad you liked the show." That's what I say to these people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so glad you liked the show, but I'm not gonna do that. No.
But it's I'm booked. I'm already busy.
Yeah, we got rehearsal. Sorry.
Anyway, let's go into the screening room and spare people.
Today's a special one.
Man.
You know, Keith, it's like that scene where Martok starts just like talking about the old war stories out of context. That's kind of where we're at.
I mean, it's true. That's what every podcast is, talking about old war stories. So that's kind of what it is.
We'll take over the Federation.
The war, of course, is the war against the tomato smell in the back of a Lumina.
Oh man, the brakes on that car. Oh, I don't know how I'm here.
All right, so in our teaser, O'Brien and Bashir are debating Davy Crockett once again. Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna have to do some research. You'll read people's history. I bet it's in there somewhere. Mm-hmm. Anyway, Worf helps distill what this episode will be about.
Was he had like a raccoon cap? That's all I remember about Davy Crockett.
Yeah. I'm assuming he, was a really great American frontiersman who definitely didn't do probably genocide, I'm assuming.
Well, according to my research, he was the king of the wild frontier.
Indeed. Did he say his first name first or twice usually?
Davy. Call me Davy Crockett.
Yeah, there it is. James, is it Davy? I didn't have my Connery. Sean Connery. Davy Crockett.
I'm not sure he was Scottish, or from Wales. Or where's Connery from?
It's Scottish.
Okay. Cool.
No, maybe Welsh. I don't know. Anyway, this is so bad. Our episode is bad. Worf tries to save us.
And here's the moment of the show where Keith and I ask, should we just try again?
I've got to mow. I got stuff to do.
I also have stuff to do. One of those things being my actual job.
Yeah. So Worf says, the only real question is whether you believe in the legend of Davy Crockett or not. If you do, then there should be no doubt in your mind that he died the death of a hero. If you do not believe in the legend, then he was just a man. It doesn't matter how he died. Worf goes back to his quarters, and we meet
for foreshadowing, Keith.
Just a little bit. And we meet our Davy Crockett for the week. It's, of course, our old friend Kor. And after discussing how they are both sad about Jadzia, he tells us that he's here for help. And Kor says, Worf, it does not go well for me. The war meeting. It seems my services are not required in the present conflict. I have no influence left in the Empire. Even as our entire race grapples with the Dominion, there is no place for an old man with too many enemies and not enough friends. It is why I've come here tonight. It is not easy for me to beg for help, but I have nowhere else to turn. Help me fight again, Worf. Help me end my life as I lived it, as a warrior. Worf agrees to help Martok. he agrees to ask Martok for help, and he finds Martok grumbling at his elderly assistant. But when Worf asks him about Kor, Martok is furious. The man is not welcome in my house, and I will certainly not have him commanding a ship in my fleet. But we don't know yet why Martok hates Kor. But it is interesting. It made me think a lot about like older actors and older performers who it probably, like Kor, made a lot of enemies, not exactly, embracing the contemporary times and just like wanting to keep working, but have burned too many bridges. Like, it happens.
It does happen.
It happens. And like maybe have some things in their past they probably have not aged well. And I bet that is true of Kor here as well. So Martok and Sisko are talking war plans. They're going to do a series of cavalry raids on the Dominion. They can't attack it directly, but they can swipe at it with a few ships to distract the enemy. Sisko agrees to have ships waiting when they get home because they're probably going to come back with enemies in tow. Fun.
Cool.
So later on the Klingon ship, Worf makes another attempt to get Kor a job, and Martok this time is even more furious. Worf calls him out on being unreasonable. But Martok explains why. I would not give that man the nod bones of my last meal, much less the command of a ship. But why?
That's tough.
Yeah. There's no blood feud between our houses, and Kor told me he's never even met you. Martok says you can wound a man without ever seeing his face. When I was a boy, my family still lived in the lowlands of Ketha province. We had very little, but it didn't matter. We were a family of warriors. 15 generations had served the Empire as soldiers. My father had higher hopes for me. He wanted his son to become an officer. It took a great deal of effort, but eventually he found someone willing to sponsor me. I passed the entrance exam on my first attempt. All that remained was the final approval by an oversight council, a simple formality. But my application was rejected by one member of the council, Kor. Kor's family descends from the imperial court itself. Kor is of the blood, born to rule by the divine will of Kahless. And where was I? A boy from the Ketha lowlands. He couldn't bear the thought of someone like me joining their elite officer ranks. So to my father's embarrassment and my everlasting shame, my application was denied. And with the mark of Kor on my record, I couldn't even join as a common soldier. So I spent 5 years as a civilian laborer aboard the General Shivang's flagship. As fortune would have it, the Romulans made a foolhardy attempt to board that ship, and I earned a battlefield commission. Unfortunately, my father did not live to see that glorious day. But if Kor had his way, I would still be a civilian on that ship, cleaning the officers' mess. Which I think, what a fantastic backstory for Martok here. And, is incredibly relevant to this day, with, in America, we don't have we certainly do have class distinction, but we're much more racist than classist in this country, although we're certainly, it's a struggle for victory on both sides. But
I mean, it's funny when we talk big picture because it makes my personal stuff seem trivial, but really that's what you can grasp onto is, right, your experiences. I'll tell a quick anecdote because I've had some time to think about it. When I watched the episode the first time, the story resonated, but I was still more taken aback the first watch by his behavior towards Kor, even with this context, right? Because Kor, I think, does a great job of, I don't know, I'm watching my mom age right now, and I'm seeing sort of the disrespect or just sort of the cast-asidedness that we do with our old folk, older folks.
Sure. Yeah.
So I don't know, that was resonating with me. But to his point here, and this is nothing in the grand scheme of things, but I was dating a girl briefly who came from a very wealthy family, and it didn't really bother me. I'm not embarrassed for how I grew up, But we went to visit her family the first time, and she's invited me to Easter at the Wrigley's, which the Wrigley's of the Wrigley's.
Oh, yeah. Just them.
And I was like, oh, cool, whatever, right? And before we went, she bought me a whole new wardrobe, which...
Right.
I was like, well, okay. And then when we went to these people's house, the grandma was like, oh, what does your family do? And I was like, I don't even know what that question means, right? Like, what is your family in? Like, I guess,
what
like,
industry is your family
what
run?
Generational wealth do you bring to the table or whatever? And
right.
That still kind of to this day, there's a chip, right? There's a chip on my shoulder because of being treated, just being assumptions being made. Now, that being said, it did not follow me my whole life. I was not denied opportunities because of that experience like Martok was. So, and that is nothing in the grand scheme of the way people are treated. I obviously check my privilege, but I'm just saying that stuff does happen and is happening, and we all have our experiences with it. So with that context, I do empathize a little bit more with Martok at this point.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. And like, there are a lot of places around the world which are class-based, caste-based, you go to London, you still have, the lords and ladies, that kind of stuff, or you go to India and you have different castes, and as I said, as a newer country, America, we just do it with race. But certainly the economic part of it is definitely a part of it. And I also came from a family of family without means, and I have dated in different socioeconomic classes and sort of felt like, oh wow, I've had that same moment.
And to be coming from such a prideful race of beings, for him to have been self-made like Martok was, and not have had his family be able to see that and appreciate that,
for sure,
is long lasting.
And how ugly the sense of entitlement,
yes,
based on happenstance of birth.
And it's compounded later, right? Because when Worf brings it up to Core, he doesn't even remember. It's not even a blip in his memory. To him. Yeah, which is.
But that's what.
Right.
Racism is. That's what classism is. It's thoughtless. It is thoughtless by definition. Mm-hmm. You're not seeing that person as a person. You're doing whatever, and so. And even if you're not doing it directly, not seeing the privilege that you have, not seeing the fact that you had, that door was open for you, that wasn't for all these things. And it is there's such a dichotomy between how much thought and feeling Martok he spent his entire life with this feeling, with these thoughts, with this idea, and Core, like you said, huh?
Right.
And I think that is sort of foundational to inequality within all different types of inequality. It's part of the human condition.
Production note. Mike loves episodes where we get to spend a lot of time on a different ship, because it lets the production team, the lighting team, flex. Yeah. The lighting here is so cinematic and moody, and drop lighting, the reds and the shadows, so great because of the Klingon ship.
For sure.
Helps the makeup team too, right? They don't have they hide some.
Well, but also because especially with Klingon, so much of the makeup is in depths and ridges, and so you get shadows, and it makes the makeup pop so much more because you just really have like highlights and shadows.
And I think this episode only possible after they moved to CGI, because the pew-pews and the effects in this episode make it in a lot of ways. Or make the stakes work.
It makes it much more real.
And it allows them to just do the A story, right? Because they can fill in the gaps with pew-pew action, whereas otherwise they would have had to, like on a TNG, they probably would have had to have another story because they couldn't have done all the other stuff.
Well, actually, because this episode is sort of a blend of the two, right? Because we see a lot of the battle happen. We see the attack happen. We see the shooting, but then at the end we don't see the final battle with Core, which is how Next Gen had to do everything. Mm-hmm. So you'd set up the idea, and then we would just sort of announce what was happening. We would narrate what was happening without seeing it. Interesting
that you call it up as yes, I understand that was production limitation, but here it's not, and I think here they do it because we're discussing legend, right? We're discussing the idea.
Right. It doesn't matter what actually happened.
Yeah, it's about the telling and the imagining. That's why I think they did it that way here.
Sure. Yeah, and I agree with you. I think it's a good choice. Whether it's production influenced or not. Right. We are writing the first draft of the legend of Kor's death in real time. As each person on that bridge imagines what is happening based on that description, and that legend will be spun out and spun out and spun out, and that's fun. So Worf has already made Kor an officer on his own authority, and Martok says fine, but he's your responsibility. Later, Worf runs into Kor and Ezri chatting on the Replimat. Of course, Ezri has a relationship with Kor as the Dax part of her. It's still awkward between Ezri and Worf, and Ezri leaves quickly. And Worf tells Kor why Martok hates him, and why because he scrubbed him from the officers list. And Worf says it is an unworthy reason to bar a man from serving the Empire. And Worf and Kor doubles down. He says, Worf, you have been living too long in the democratic rabble. I know your bloodline. We both come from noble houses. Among our people, that still counts for something. If Martok is truly a Klingon, he should appreciate that. Which is an interesting choice here in this episode, right? In this, we're going to give Kor a going out like a hero, and we're going to be feeling some empathy for what Kor is going through here. But there's no redemption arc on his being classist here.
Well, I have two ways to look at that. One, we contain multitudes. Yeah. And two, once again, I used the analog of my mom, whom I love and adore. And it's been great to see how far she has come in opening her heart to more social issues based on where she started, where she grew up, and her sort of the modeling that she part of. But it ain't all there.
Yeah.
And it won't ever be. And no matter how much I try, I continually try to educate and to pursue those lines of conversation, because I think she has the empathy and the intelligence to move forward, but we won't have enough time. That I know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, redemption isn't always realistic, and I think it is realistic that we don't have this oh God, that's not fair. Look at and it's complex, but that's Deep Space Nine, right? Deep Space Nine does not tie things up in a tidy fashion.
Well, and I think they enjoy the conflict, real conflict, emotional conflict in life. Keith and I talk about therapy all the time, and how existing in the multiple colors, when your whole being, our way our brain works, we want one color. Tell me what color it is so I know. And unfortunately, it's hues, baby. And that's what we feel here, right? Because of this, there is no good guy, bad guy when it comes to who we're pulling for, right? Is it Martok? Is it Kor? When Martok is a dick to him in that dinner scene, he's a dick to him. We feel empathy, 100%. But maybe Kor's not worthy of that empathy based on what we don't know. It all is true.
Or we learn something different. So we learn something about Kor, and we learn something about Martok, because when Kor is confronted with him being a dick, he's like, so what? When Martok doesn't even need to be confronted about it. He's like, I was a dick. He realizes he was a dick. And even though he still feels all the anger, we're going to see that final beat about it. But Martok learns and grows. And so Martok has more capacity to change than Kor ever shows. And I think that, makes him the more evolved character, still flawed. And that's why I freaking love Martok. He's amazing. Anyway, so Worf tells Kor when to report, but Martok forgets the name of the ship. Little Chekhov's forgetfulness there. So after a fantastic shot from above Deep Space Nine, of the Klingon ships going over the top of it. It's awesome. Our Klingon heroes prepare to get underway. Kor arrives on the bridge. Martok receives him with hate, but everybody else is totally starstruck, including Martok's assistant. So again, doubling down on how uncomfortable Martok must be with all of this.
I really want to tell a lot about this story, but I'm going to tell a really brief story because it's I think interesting here. So Jen, CEO Jen, Chancellor Jen, did a production of Fiddler on the Roof, directed by Joel Grey. For those of you who don't know, Joel Grey is an Academy Award winner, multiple Tony winner, legend in the theater. Legend just in entertainment.
Yeah,
just legendary. And because of that, and he's a lovely man. This is not to say he's because of that, and he was in his 90s when he worked on this production. We're in a place in the theater right now where a lot of things are changing. There's a lot more protections for actors and in rehearsal times and lengths and different things. And it was interesting to watch during that process how the old school way things used to be done in rehearsals, which was basically like, we do this until it's right? There's no sort of like take a break.
Right.
Nowadays the show opens and you don't really get notes from the director until like certain intervals. But Joel comes every night and gives notes stuff you're not supposed to do, really. It's just different methods of thinking. But because he's a legend and carries that weight with him, there's a push and pull. And that was interesting to watch. And it's very similar to like that reverence and carte blanche he gets when he walks on the bridge here is very true to life, right?
Well, and it's interesting that you bring up Joel because he has a Star Trek connection.
Mm-hmm.
And there's another sort of thing about being an older actor and how people feel about it, because he did an episode of Voyager, which he's great on. He's heartbreaking on. But listening to Garrett Wang on the podcast that he does, Garrett being of Asian descent has a hard time with Joel Grey because Joel Grey did an entire movie as an Asian person in Yellowface. And obviously Joel would never do that in a million years today, but that still exists. The film still exists, and it's still part of your legacy. And it's complicated once you, as Kor isn't a good example of, like you exist for long enough, you're going to have things in your life that people are going to have problems with later.
Mm-hmm.
And, Lord knows I do, and I will. And there are things that I will learn about in 40 years, like, oh God, Peepaw, what were you thinking? Because we're all just continually learning. So, anyway, in Act 2, Kira and Ezri discuss Ezri's meeting an old friend in a new body again. And she, continues, she says, like, it's kind of weird. Everybody's weird at the beginning.
I love this beat.
It's an interesting little beat, and it's another good piece of information if you want to think about this as a trans allegory. And sort of watching this conversation from that perspective is very interesting. And I don't have that experience, but I imagine you would have a lot of reactions where people are like, even your friends are like, yeah, cool, I'm on board, but like, I'm still a little weird about it.
I had that. I had dinner with a trans friend of mine who had transitioned. We went to school together before said transition, and I didn't even, and so it was interesting to share a space where we had so much shared history, but also we're living in a new experience where they weren't too keen to discuss that old history because that period of time was not great for them. So that the allegory is apt for sure.
Yeah,
in both experiences,
and it's complex. Even if you're on board, even if you're wanting to be supportive, like you do have to do the mental math of like, okay, hold on, I got to make sure I'm not dead naming this person, and like how do I be supportive? And because you have sort of a momentum with your relationship, you have to be actively thinking and actively making choices for a while, until you adapt and get used to it.
Especially if you, like myself, you Keith, like have some social anxiety issues. And so meeting someone you haven't spoken to in a long time
is hard anyway.
Right. And so my general go-to is, let's laugh about old college stuff.
Right.
But if that's off the table, now I'm kind of, if I don't have anything to say, it's tough for me. I'm in trouble.
You don't have a script to work off of. Yeah, I hear that. Anyway, so Esri monologues about her time with Kor back in the day and how much she wishes they could be together again. But Quark only hears half of it and thinks she's talking about and pining for Worf. So in the Klingon mess hall, Martok is holding court when Kor comes in, and they all treat Kor like he's a visiting dignitary, pissing Martok off further. And Martok gives the plan. They're going to do a strafing run, then a second one when they start repairing the damage, which is it's also a tactic you would use in guerrilla warfare, right? You set off the bomb, then you set off a second bomb once the first responders get there, and such. So Kor starts pontificating on his old stories with Kang battling the Federation, and Martok looks like he could murder someone. Then they arrive at the destination, all hands to battle stations, but Kor doesn't remember where he's supposed to be. Yikes. And so Kor's mental lapses here is really interesting in 2025. And the parallels there being obvious. If you've read Jake Tapper's book, which I have, really startling. And
well, also, I mean, anybody who's had a grandparent or a parent,
right,
aunt, uncle, with dementia or early stages of such, it's hard. It's difficult.
It's hard and it's heartbreaking. And as we see from, coming up in the next sequence here, why somebody suffering from that should not be in charge. And
I wish. See, I don't. And this is my opinion. My opinion is that the episode isn't actually trying to make that point. I think they're using the forgetfulness as sort of a catch-all of old, right? Because it's not really defined very well, and I also don't think it works particularly well for me in this episode. I would much rather, and I'm just going to put my beef, because it's really my only critique as far as the plot, the pacing, and the script is. Because Klingon, right? I would almost rather his failings be exposed as physical, because his redemption at the end is because of his battle acuity and intelligence and bravery. And I love that. And I think it's the way it should be, but it makes Worf, well, I guess not really Worf, but it makes the plan of the other old guy and seem irresponsible. Like, I'm glad it worked out, but it probably shouldn't have. Like, I wouldn't have put him in that position because of the whole dementia thing. If it had just been a physical failing, and then he's able to show that despite my physical failings, I can still use all of my other tools to be a warrior, it would have worked better for me. But that's...
Well, I see that, although I think it might be a little bit more complex with that, because, whether it's dementia or some sort of other, mental slipping, we don't slip. It's not, a fader on a light switch, right?
Well, yes. So I guess let me cut you off just briefly. Yeah. I think that I'm bringing a lot of 2025 and into the episode. Right. That's what I said. I don't think it's about dementia, right? I think it's, like I said, it's just, they're using it as a catch-all for old, which is why it ends up not being as troubling, ultimately. You catch what I'm saying?
Sort of. Although weirdly, I found it like, I thought it deepened it. Because why is Kor sidelined? Right. All right. So he's enemies. He's always had enemies. Right. This might be why he wasn't given a command by anybody else, but we are not acknowledging that we haven't told him that this is why. So he's confused as to why I haven't been given a shot, but this is probably why. And so that explains why we're in this position in the first place.
Okay, and it could explain why Worf doesn't really dig much deeper, because he lets the legend of it and the friendship of it get in the way without him doing his due diligence.
And so like everybody is giving him the benefit of the doubt based on the legend until you're in a chain of command and you realize I can't put this man in charge of a ship. But we're not going to say what's happening. So look, obviously I'm seeing a deep parallel to what happened with President Biden. And and I say this as a deep progressive who wanted that to go a different way, but like the just like terribly irresponsible way that was handled.
A good book, good way to read, good read.
Yeah, great. I mean,
troubling,
horrifying, and angering, and exasperating. But I think it's again part of the human condition. So you have some people who are like,
I suspect we're probably repeating that history right now.
Oh, well, that part is clear.
Yeah.
But you have it's really complex. But I think the point about him being able to do the battle, right, is because the mental decline is not binary, right? And so obviously we know that like with when you're dealing with decline, the hour of the day, how much they've eaten, what's their energy level, like a lot of that changes, but also the subject of it. Mm-hmm. And so people who are not even able to be verbal when hearing music light right up and know every lyric to the song because it taps into something from a younger time in their life. And so I think what we're doing here with the final battle is that's like the battling against other ships. That's the music to Kor. Yeah. And so it lights up and it makes it doesn't matter if he knows who's in the other ship. He remembers, he has it's not muscle memory, but brain sensory memory of how to battle in that situation. And that was why he was able to be effective.
And also basically they're a decoy at that point.
Right. And he's not trying to win, he's trying to distract. And so like I don't have a problem with any of that. It's sad, right? It is a sad episode.
Yeah.
In a lot of different ways, but I thought it was very real. Anyway, so in Act 3, that we're just gonna say all the things we just talked about. The battle begins, and it's really cool to see a battle shot during the daytime. Because like we do all these space things and have a shot like this where they're not only battling on a planet, but a planet in the daytime. We never see that.
There's a really cool matte shot. I didn't get a screen of it, but it's like this huge pulled out shot, but you can see the little Jem'Hadar guys.
Oh yeah.
In the foreground, background.
The effects here are great.
Yes, really good.
So one of the first Klingon ships is destroyed, but they've drawn the defenses away, so the second wave comes and attacks the base again. But they get nailed, knocking both Worf and Martok unconscious. And as third officer, Kor, of course, takes command, but he forgets the plan, which was to hit and run, and he decides to go back for another pass, and they're getting their ass kicked again. And Kor thinks he's in a battle with the Federation from 100 years ago. And it says, "Victory is ours. The Federation will rue the day they dare to challenge the might of the Klingon Empire. We will take Caleb 4 and raise the banner above the smoking ruins of their outpost."
Amazing.
Martok wakes up and literally throws a dagger at Kor as he rants, which Worf catches out of mid-air, then knocks Kang out. That sequence goes by so fast, like I didn't even clock it the first time, but then Worf catches the dagger out of midair. Awesome. Martok orders them to run, and Cloak and Martok retakes command and says, "Worf, get that man out of here." So in Act 4, Mikey, you want to read a cutscene with me?
I would love to. Yeah, the cat is gonna. I thought he sat on something. Yeah. How do I find it?
Oh, okay. That's not gonna work. I was going to send it to you in the chat.
You did,
but I can't.
Oh.
So I'm gonna start a new Word doc.
You can send the file
in the folder.
Okay.
Oh, can I?
Yeah. We're next to send. There's a little file button.
Oh my God! Look at that. All right, let's choose a file to share. We said that we're doing a production meeting on the air. Mike, say something interesting while I'm doing this.
Well, Keith, this next beat, coming up with Quark and Esri, really was another little moment. I don't know. I'm just saying words.
That's it. What should be there now?
Downloaded here. Downloaded Quark Doc. Yeah.
Quark Doc.
Oh, the future's awesome, dude. We are just taking advantage of it. All right.
So this is a cutscene between Quark and Jake.
Oh. Okay.
That used to happen here.
All right, who am I?
You want to be Quark or Jake? You get to choose.
Well, I mean, I feel like I've got the riz of Jake, right?
Okay, all right. So Quark says, I'm not a bad man, Jake. I don't hurt people. I don't steal from them. I don't ever overcharge them much. In a universe filled with pain and suffering, I offer people an oasis. I offer them love. But does anyone love me? No.
Come on, I've seen you with women.
Of course I've been with women, but none of them were Jadzia. She was perfect. She played Tongo. She had a sense of humor.
She was tall.
And she was tall.
Well, you did have your chance. Jadzia was here for 3 full years before Worf showed up.
I was playing a deep game. I'm not the kind of man who just rushes in and declares himself. I like the chase. But then Mr. Today is a good day to die shows up and spoils everything. And now it's gonna happen all over again with Esri. New body, new personality, but she'll make the same mistake.
You want my advice? Okay. You think Esri's making a mistake? Tell her. Sit her down, look her right in the eye, and tell her that you think Worf is the wrong man for her.
She won't listen.
Then she won't listen, but at least you'll have tried. If you don't say anything, and they do get involved...
I'll hate myself.
And enough people hate you already. Why add to the list?
You know what? You're a really bad bartender. But I think you're right. Thanks, Jake.
No tip?
So that is what happened in this episode at this point in the first draft. But back in the episode, Quark makes his move and basically has the scene they're talking about here. But in the original version, this was the tag for the end of the episode, not early here in Act 4. So Quark says, you're making a mistake by pursuing another relationship with Worf. Excuse me? You heard me. I know how Jadzia felt about Worf, but that was her life, not yours. You're Esri Dax. You need to give yourself a chance to explore other relationships. There's a whole universe out there full of men and women. What? There's a whole universe out there full of men and women. I wonder if that line actually got into the... I feel like Berman would have killed that. Because that is... Oh, you know what? Yeah, somebody let me know, because I feel like I would have remembered that in the episode. But in the original script, they addressed the fact that maybe Esri would want to date women. Why limit yourself? You're young and beautiful and full of life. Why go after a man who's only a memory to you? Now, I've had my problems with Worf, I'll admit it, but this isn't about me or my feelings. This is about you. And Worf has done nothing, and I mean nothing, to deserve you. Shouldn't you try to find someone who's willing to win your heart, not just inherit it? You deserve better. In fact, you deserve the best. There, I've said my piece. She explains, of course, that she's not actually interested in dating
Keith.
Worf. Yeah, yes?
Let's go ahead and watch that portion real quick.
Yeah, so we just listened to it, and they did cut it.
Well sussed, Keith.
Which sucks.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that was Berman, but if not, either way, way to continue to erase Dax's queerness. But you know what? I got the script here. We said it on the internet. It's canon to us. So, yeah, F you to whoever cut that.
Yeah, Ezri can, with arms wide open, whomever she likes, in her Chevy Lumina.
In her tomato-smelling shuttle.
You say tomato, I say tomato.
Tomato?
Well, I mean, it's the tomato is like if you conjugate the female. Please ignore anything I just said.
Anyway, there's a whole universe out there full of men and women. Why limit yourself? Advice to everybody. All right, so Ezri explains she's not interested in dating Worf again, but then, all right, I'm curious how you feel about this. She says, and I'd also like to say that what you just did was one of the kindest, dearest, and for you, one of the most embarrassing things I've ever heard. You're a real sweetheart. And kisses him on the head. How do we feel about her reaction to this?
Well, I don't know how things turn out. So I will say this. I think great opportunity. I think the line I think the embarrassing thing, I think she's just saying you usually try to play tough and so
no, that's not the part I'm at. Okay. It's just like her
infantilizing him?
No, it's him infantilizing her.
Oh.
A little bit.
Oh, I think she finds it cute, right? I'm okay with that. I think, my opinion though, especially as someone who's like freshly on the market, and she ain't dumb, so I'm sure she sensed everybody flirting with her right away, right?
Sure.
This would be a great opportunity if she's not interested in Quark to just put the kibosh on it now.
Right.
But she does not take that opportunity, and so it isn't interesting. It does feel sort of either they're leaving the door open for the writers, or they are. It's just boys. It's just like male fantasy writing. I don't know, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't really know either.
It is ambiguous,
Quark,
yeah.
It is a little ambiguous there, and like...
Well, Quark, not the way Quark takes it.
No, Quark now thinks she's in love with him. I been you, Quark. I feel you.
Oh, yeah, when you're friend-zoned, baby, I mean, you take... Oh, my God, did you see the way she flipped her hair? That is definitely love.
Oh, everything. Yeah. Oh my God, I've been medically friend-zoned many times. So back on the Klingon ship, Martok now taunts Kang, and his memory slips. The crew has turned on him as well. It's cruel, and Martok's bitterness is strong.
Oh, and the way Kor plays this is just his silent, just like acceptance of the beating, because he feels it a little bit himself.
Yeah, I mean,
it's bad.
Just like rubbing him in the humiliation. And Martok says, well, say something, old man, or have you lost your tongue as well as your mind? And Kor finishes with, savor the fruit of life, my young friends. It has a sweet taste when it's fresh on the vine. But don't live too long. The taste turns bitter after a time. And this shuts everybody up. And I think it's some truth there, some wisdom there. And later, to Martok's credit, that Kor did not, he clearly feels really bad. And Worf has removed Kor from duty. And Worf says, I saw no other choice. Still, you're his friend, it must have been difficult for you. And Worf correctly says, a friend would not have put him in this position in the first place, had Worf known. And Martok says, I've hated his name for almost 30 years. I have dreamt of the moment I'd finally see him stripped of his rank and title, when he would suddenly find himself without the power of his birthright and without a friend in the world. I had that moment, but I took no joy from it. That's Martok, man. They both agree to help him find something to do when they get back. Then they get a call. They're being chased by a ton of Jem'Hadar ships. Apparently, they have found a way
to... Let me ask you something.
Yeah.
Because the way it reads and the way he played it, leave it to, I think, a little bit of interpretation. I'm curious what yours is. Does he mean... Because there's a difference. Does he mean I got my opportunity to, like, put my dig in and get my revenge, and I did it, and it did not provide me with the joy and relief I thought it would, or I didn't want to really do it, but I felt like I had to take that opportunity, and I took no joy in doing it.
Oh, I took the former for sure.
Okay, yeah, me too.
Like I've been dreaming of revenge.
Yeah.
I've been dreaming of revenge this whole time, and it turns out revenge on somebody who's not at full capacity is really...
Because I think the other reading is interesting as well, which is like, this man deserves it, and so I have to deliver it. But I didn't enjoy it, doing that to this guy. Because of his anger, I think it is the first, but I hadn't heard this way you read it back. I was like, huh.
Yeah, it's like...
Because that's very Klingon, right? That's very Klingon.
Like, I have to do the revenge for my honor, but my heart's not in it.
Yeah.
It's... let me tell you, Martok's heart felt like it was in it.
It sure did. It sucked.
So anyway, they're being pursued by a bunch of Jem'Hadar ships, and apparently they found a way to penetrate their cloaks, so uh-oh. In Act 5, we realize they're not going to make it back unless they can delay their pursuers. Worf has a technobabble idea, and they're going to need to sacrifice one ship to do it. So Worf plans to take a skeleton crew on a single ship on a suicide mission to slow them down, and Martok reluctantly agrees to send him on the mission. But Martok's assistant, Darak, witnesses his plan and goes to Kor. And he says...
Someone say that Martok's plan is about to be Darak-blocked.
It is. It is indeed. He says, men of our generation never stood on ceremony. We ate when we were hungry. We fought when we were angered. I miss the simplicity of those days. Now, of course...
Those Canaan days we used to know. Where have they gone? Where did they go? Sorry.
Thanks for that. I was really hoping we could have a musical number from Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat on the show. But here's the thing. Go back and listen to it, kids. He hits the F on fought hard enough. He convinced me he was going to say something else. Men of our generation never stood on ceremony. We ate when we were hungry. We fought when we were angered. I was like, oh, wow, that really took a turn I was not expecting. So Darak has a plan.
The basic needs, right? The basic needs of food.
Yeah. I mean, I was like, oh, we're Game of Thrones all of a sudden. Oh, no. Darak has a plan. It's the obvious one. The best man for the job isn't Worf, it's the man in front of him. But he checks. But such a man would have to be certain of his abilities. And Kor says such a man would only take the job if he were certain. Thus, continuing the contemporary parallels of the infuriating part of what happened in real life. So, Kor catches up with...
Well, I mean, I'm sure Jake discusses this in his book. The sort of what is the word I'm looking for when two diametrically opposed things,
unstoppable force running into it.
No, incongruency, it's a...
Cognitive dissonance?
Paradox.
There you go.
The president paradox, as I'll call it, is unfortunately a great deal of humility would be necessary to acknowledge that you're in decline and shouldn't take on that responsibility. Yet to be the president or to want to be the president
100%
takes an incredible amount of not humility.
Unquestionably.
I think it goes back to good old George Washington was probably the last one to be willing to give the power up.
Right.
And that was a long time ago.
And that has the paradox of he wanted to retire nobly and go back to his slaves.
Right. I wasn't trying to exalt him. I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, it's complex. The paradox.
Bud,
endless paradox.
Stop hitting the buttons. Okay, now I lost all my sounds. I can't hear anything.
Uh-oh. Toxie.
Cat.
What you doing, Tuxie?
You trying to break OBS?
Yes. Your podcast is boring, Dad.
He's like,
I am so bored. Stop talking.
yes, he's not wrong.
That's exactly what's happening. So, Kor's gonna do it, and he catches up with Worf in the corridor and knocks him out with a hypo spray. Interestingly, very non-Klingon way to knock out a Klingon, but probably the only way he could do it.
He had to go gorilla.
He says goodbye to Worf and beams onto the other
dick
ship.
Move here, if I may, is he's like, what can I say?
We've heard all about your dick moves.
What can I say to Jadzia instead, of course? So let's assume for a second that she's really there. He knocks him out before he can answer. At least get the message.
Well, because
I know, but come up with a better.
Worf wouldn't be able to answer without realizing what was happening.
I mean, that's like Sylvia Brown or whatever those guys being like, "Oh my God, I've got your dad here, Mike. He's on the line. What do you want to say?" And I'm like, and then he's like, "Oh, and I lost him." Come on.
Fair enough. So on Martok's
or
bridge,
he chloroforms me. I guess that's a better analogy.
Yeah, that's it. Like, he'd have to be chloroformed. Yeah. So on Martok's bridge, they watch on sensors as Kor successfully engages the Jem'Hadar ships. Worf enters, and they all realize what happened. And Kor successfully saves their lives and dies doing it. And Martok says, how? How did that pompous old man hold off an entire Jem'Hadar fleet with one ship? And Worf says, does it matter? Martok then leads them all in song honoring Kor, but does not sing himself. He is still bitter, but now has some respect. And that is, once more, unto, into, onto the breach.
AlamarEmmys, there was more. AlamarEmmys, it's AlamarEmmys time. You know what CEO Jen said to me, which is sad but true? She's like, I don't know anyone who enjoys themselves more than you do.
and like, she does not mean that, like, oh, you really enjoy doing the podcast. She means literally, you enjoy yourself.
Ah, man.
I mean, I would tease you about that, but in order to have a podcast, you kind of need to enjoy the sound of your own voice.
People don't know, I mean, like, I guess if you don't suffer from clinical depression, you don't know. But so I'll tell you. It's funny because you're forced to, you play kind of a version of yourself on the podcast. Mm-hmm. And so this version of me is like very happy and having a great time. And that's really not what exists in my like internal existence often. So it is to be enjoyed.
For sure. Yeah. For sure. It is like the therapeutical truth that is as stupid and as oversimplistic as it sounds. Pretending to be happy sometimes makes you happy. It's it really is one of those things. Mike, what was your best moment of Once More Into the Breach?
Oh man, I think it's the revelation that Martok has, because really that scene is just so great. Because who plays Martok again?
J.G. Hertzler.
One of the hardest things to do in acting in general is realizing that the words you are saying off the script that you've worked so hard to memorize are coming to you right then, right? There's a sort of, and the audience does a lot of the work by sort of, what do we call it?
Projecting? No,
it's you're suspending their disbelief, right? That this is all not just a play that's taking place on video. But when it's really good, you can tell. And here you can see Martok having just experienced that and like putting his feelings together and coming up with trying to analyze how he's feeling in the moment and explain it to Worf, and you can see him change. And because he didn't feel the relief of he didn't get what he thought he would get from the revenge, it changes him in a different way, and he has to come to terms with it and grasp that. And it's not a huge scene. It's a very short scene. But you could see it all happen. And that's great. So that's my best moment.
Yeah, so as a rule, through 100 and something episodes,
Wait, Keith, stop talking.
Try hard.
I can't hear you. I broke it. The cat.
Talks.
I'm back.
Bad talks. So, as a rule, just for the sake of the show, I usually will pick something different from what Mike said. But you know what? It's the exact same moment for me.
Yeah.
I just think that it is the moral heart of this episode. And it is like that revenge is just not, the revenge is a dish served, whatever. Like, it's not great. You think you want it, you don't really. And I think I just love the writing of it. I love the performance of it. I love the character of Martok. Just great. There it is. That's the best moment. Let's do some symbols.
You get some symbols. Hell yeah, they are so silly. Here are some symbols for you.
Okay, so you got my one niggle, right? If I had rewritten the episode, I would have liked to have seen it more of like a physical element, but Keith has kind of patched that, I'm gonna call it a wormhole, but that thing for me. And here's, I really do love this episode. It's, like I said, the effects are really cool. The battles all felt meaningful, impactful. Back in the old days when it was just this, Keith, that was corny and cheesy. They're not doing anything different now. But when you can cut that with the actual VFX, it works a lot better. There's the stakes read. So there's that. I also think the lighting and the wardrobe and the makeup team all get high fives this week because it was like a lot of Klingons and
a lot of
cool lighting and stuff. This is why I love when they do A-plots only. I guess it's the Jadzia thing, but this is really an A-plot.
Sort of a B-plot, yeah.
Because this show, Deep Space Nine, really works well when they let things be slow burns and simmer. The pace of this is pretty slow, right? It takes a long time to build. And it's not particularly deep, but they just let things mull and simmer. And here are the two huge tests for this episode, I think. The challenges. 1, you're taking a subset of characters, right, the Klingons, who we've generally painted in shorthand as quick to anger, battle ready, tough and gruff.
Honor.
Yeah, and honor, blah. And we're going to have a really deep, emotional, therapy-based arcs about about changing about these really kind of big things. That's difficult to do, and not just with one of them, right? We have to deal with aging and obsolescence in core. We have to deal with friendship, honor, respect, but also responsibility to our elders in war.
Class distinctions.
And then you've got the whole arc of Martok.
Right.
There's a lot to do, and I think they each have mini arcs that are successful. Secondly, the moment the pieces are set on the chessboard, we know exactly how this episode ends. We know it 15 minutes in, 10 minutes in.
100%.
And yet, it is satisfying, it makes sense, it is narratively coherent, and it works. That's difficult to do. They do it. I guess you could say, perhaps, it relies a little heavily on, like, gravitas, that we have to sort of... I don't know Core from the old days and the stuff. I kind of know that one episode we went with Jadzia and stuff, but I get the Klingons' respect of him. That scene when he enters the bridge and such. I do think it's a little weird that the whole crew turned on him so fast. I can understand why Martok was cruel to him, but everybody else too? I mean, do you lose it? Do you lose your respect for your maybe. I guess that's a Klingon thing.
But it's a human thing.
Yeah.
I mean, just how much do we all love piling on?
Yeah, you're right. Fair.
Ask Britney Spears.
And I guess we don't totally get, this is like a mini battle within the huge battle. And, you know, sometimes we lose sight of where, you know, every once in a while we get an episode where we're like, okay, here's the big story. And then we have to assume. But that doesn't bother me. All said, I really like this. I think the amount of layers and subtlety and emotional depth we're able to plumb in such a kind of isolated episode is awesome. The class discussion, the memory loss, so many things. It touched on so many things. I really dug it. I give it... Oh, man. Is it in the pantheon of the rest of the episodes? I've been rating high. What did I go last week? 93?
92 last week.
I'm going to say 89 self-sealing stem bolts. That's exactly what Keith picked, but let's hear why.
Up for the second straight week.
Our brains, we're just becoming the same.
Oh my God, for real. Yeah, I mean, I think I agree with everything you said. I have a heck of a lot to add to it. But I think what's interesting is the character of Kor, right? You said you don't really know much of his lore before we met him on Deep Space Nine. Well, guess what? Kor is only in one episode of the original series and 3 episodes of Deep Space Nine. So Kor is a much bigger character in Deep Space Nine than he ever was in the original series. And we met him on the Blood Oath episode where they go kill the albino, and then he came back and they did the Indiana Jones going for Kahless's sword. And so we know so much more about Kor on Deep Space Nine than we ever did on the original series. And so I think it's a very interesting arc. You know, I love the Martok of it all. I think we've learned something more about the Klingons through this. Oh my God, I felt so much pressure when they were on the one shot.
And we never use it. I thought I'd pop over.
No, we should use it. It's great. But oh my God, it's just like, because I have, you know what it is? I have you to look at when there's the 2 shot. When it's all by myself, I'm like, oh God, it's too much me. It's more of a good therapy thing. But yeah, I mean, this episode is a therapy thing. It's a therapy thing for Martok, and it's really fascinating. I think it, obviously, in contemporary parallels, you know, because I haven't gone through the family issue of dealing with failing memory or mind or dementia, that kind of stuff. So I'm certainly aware of it, but I don't have that touchstone where like it's really a part of my life until recently. So this rewatch of this in 2025, because of the political situation, hit me in a way that it didn't the last time I watched it. And so I think that's very interesting. I'm not a huge fan of the Quark Ezri thing. It feels like filler to me. And it's interesting to see the adjustment they made on the episode between the draft that I have versus the final version. I think they realized this was not that important. So they did not finish, they abandoned the B story halfway through the episode.
Though I will say the only part of that I did find interesting, and it was in passing, and we could have just been in passing, is the moment where...
See how you like it.
Is the moment where Ezri and Worf pass, and you see both their mutual uncomfortability, but also their mutual respect for the agreement they've, you know, the boundaries they've set, observing them healthily. I thought that was cool and very human. So that part I did like. I could have done without the entire Worf bit, or Quark bit.
Yeah, and the other thing, the other only interesting thing about that, they cut.
Yeah.
Right. The like, or if we want to talk about, okay, so Ezri is now, you know, she's, you know, her marriage is over, so she's now picking from all of the people in the universe, every species, and so the show could understand her dating someone of a different species, but not somebody of the same sex, because Berman was too uncomfortable with that. So had that been this was about, right? Like, okay, so now you're sort of restarting, you're rebooting, and you want to think about dating, and you can pick from the entire universe. That's an interesting thing. And like Ezri's like, well, should I thought about dating this other person, and like because she hasn't left the station, right? She's still looking at the same pool that Jadzia was, and how that's sort of against the Trill traditions. You know, okay, that's more interesting than what we got. We got is Quark is still horny for Dax.
It actually makes a lot... Sorry, I keep interrupting you. It makes a lot of sense why the Trill do that, because if you look at the sort of evolutionary benefit of the Trill experience is that, well, if we can live these many lifetimes and we diversify them, you're just broadening the encyclopedia of what this being has created. And so by Ezri existing in the exact same space with the exact same people, you're sort of defeating the whole benefit.
It's all about casting a wider net. Whereas it's like, you know, I broke up with the person I was dating in my community theater, and now I have to date someone else from the cast. You know what I mean?
Right.
And if you limit that based on a single gender and age type, and so, you know, like it gets pretty damn limiting. So I would have liked this so much better had it continued to open up to Dax's queerness, but no. Berman says no, even though I was going to say 90s didn't say no. Certainly Ronald D. Moore he wrote it into the script. Ronald D. Moore wanted to embrace that. Somebody said no. F you. All in all, I think it's a very good episode, and I think had it been in season 2 or 3, it would have been like a super banger. But I think we having to recalibrate based on where we are in the series. It's a good episode, but it's not one of the greats. If this were season 2, this would have been like a 98.
I will say, I think it's probably top tier of action episodes I've seen.
Yeah, it's a good action episode, and certainly, yeah, I guess we should like acknowledge that the effects and the action sequences here are
great,
and
hold up,
are great, and hold up, and you know, better than anything we ever saw on all of the Next Generation, better than anything we ever saw in the first 3 or 4 seasons of Deep Space Nine, and now we're just like, yeah, look good, right, because we have raised the bar so high. So anyway, also as you anticipated, I also chose 89 self-sealing stem bolts for this. So in the world, on IMDb, it gets a 7.6, which makes it episode 77 out of 173. So a liked episode. I think that's fair. So next week we are doing the Siege of AR-558. So an episode that it's an episode that can be triggering for folks.
Okay. We'll be careful.
So be aware. Be aware.
Speaking of triggering, Keith, get your tickets.
Oh yes.
I don't know why it's
just autistic.
Like...
Get your tickets to Autistic.
The Keith Show. Come on. 10 Times I Should Have Known I Was Autistic by Keith Varney.
Yeah.
Performed by Keith Varney.
Yeah.
November 4th. It's a great time. We can also raise a drink to my birthday. Because what's better than making it about Keith than making it about me? AutisticShow.com.
Yes.
Go ahead and get
Check it out. Go grab a ticket if you're in town. Yeah, so there it is. We will see you back here next week with the Siege of AR-558. Thank you so much for watching and for sticking through.
Wow, this is a long one.
Well, they all are these days.
Yeah.
A lot of hot nonsense in this episode. Till then, this has been Keith and Mike Watch Deep Space Nine. Thank you for watching K&M Entertainment. If you enjoyed our particular brand of nonsense, please like and subscribe. Or become one of our patrons at patreon.com/KNM.
You know, Keith, there is a new tier.
What's that?
Bang my wife!